Hello, and thank you so much for joining us today for our Beacon Career Conversations. I am so excited to share with you and introduce our guest today. This is Shaun Corby. So excited. Just can't wait to dig in and talk about your career, how you got started, all of that great stuff. So first of all, thank you for making the time for us today. We really appreciate it. Welcome to our Beacon Conversations today.
Such a pleasure and so nice to be on the other side, right? From
That's
from the Naha Creative Conversations.
Yes. So for those of you, if you haven't watched on our Instagram lives, each week, Shaun is the most amazing, incredible host for our NAHA Creative Conversations, which is helping stylists who have maybe never entered NAHA and might want to enter NAHA learn more about that. And you have guests that you interview that have won NAHA multiple times, and just they're incredible conversations. So
Yeah,
yeah, now you get to be on the other side and I get to ask the question. So I'm pretty excited about that.
I love it. I think,
Yeah, so first, tell us, I am always so just super interested in someone's journey and how because so many of us, we meet you now and see you as this creative director with living proof and someone who's been on TV and has done amazing things. And it's like, how did you get started and how did this all come about?
well,
It's a
and
big
thank you for
question.
all the kind words. So for me, it's like I'm not sure if I chose a path or what the journey was, but I feel like the journey found me. And I bet there are a bunch of people who feel the same exact way. It was sort of like I had no choice in the matter. Um, I knew I loved beauty. I knew I loved hair, but there were many other things I loved, like music and performance. I feel like I was very fortunate that my Nana, I called her Nana, not Granny or Grandma, but she would go to the beauty schools every week and get like a full on, like a
Yes.
dips and beehivey, and Nana got her cruise hair on. You know what I mean? Just
I love that.
badass hair. And she would come home with it and I would break it down and she'd be like, well, honey, you can come to the beauty schools with me. And, you know, it was funny because she said she went to the beauty schools because she liked helping the kids. We all knew it was just because she was cheap and nobody did that hairdo anymore.
They're still
Totally
doing
kidding.
it. My sister's a salon owner in Michigan, and she still has her little group of clientele. Right, they come in for their weekly, their little
Yeah.
their little ladies that come in, and they love what they do. They're like, oh my gosh, we still. She calls it, we twirl them up. We still twirl them up.
Yep. Lots of fill, like just, and she'd
Yes.
be like, that's okay. And she used to say the cutest thing. She'd be like, now I know ladies my age, they like to wear that swoop in the back haircut. I don't like that. I like a good style. And so it was a proper twist with the pins and she would work those poor kids. But I guarantee any kid who worked with my Nana, present company included, became a better stylist. So I had that Nana who I'm 5 years old. If she knew she was going to go get it fixed the next day, say it's a Friday night, I was able to just sort of dig in, tease the hair, and she'd be like, okay, well, and it looked awful, right? I was 5. Um, but Nana didn't care, right? She let me do that. And okay, now you can paint the nails. I'd paint, all the way to the knuckle. Um, but she made me feel like it was something I could do with my life. There was never a stigma of, I should be doing this with my granddaughter and you're my grandson. It was just a very open, loving opportunity with grandma next door, Nana, right? So I would scoot up the hill to see Nana constantly, and she was my first mentor. But how did I get where I am today? So in high school, I took this. Do you remember career day where you take this little
Yes.
test and
Yep.
they're like, oh, you should get into accounting, oh, because you're good at math, or maybe you should see science, or I got none of that. I'm not kidding you. There was a sassy guy there, and he was like, from what I'm reading, you should either be like a rock star, because I was heavily involved with music. You should either be a rock star, you should be a minister. I was like, okay, amen.
I can see that though. I can see
Preaching constantly. Or perhaps you should consider being a stylist. So I was like, oh my God, that's so funny because in so many ways I feel like I sort of got to be all three. I mean,
that. Hmm.
I was always involved in high school. If there was anything the student could do, I wanted to do it. So I was in student body leadership. I was president several times. I was first chair, alto saxophone, and drum major of the band. I was in show choir, which is like Glee,
Yep.
except music doesn't magically come out of the ceiling when you feel a song coming on. Right? You gotta have a band. The only thing about Glee, I was like, really? We're like singing in the high school courtyard and there's music? Where's it coming from? Um, yeah, so any club, like I was, a German club, every club I was involved with, any charity I could get in on, I did. And I did that, I think in part, we were never rich. I never let my financial opportunities get in the way of my willingness to work and to learn. And at the same time, when I was young, everything to me was a journal or a board. Sorry, kids, I'm 51. So I did not have the ability to like, oh, let's PowerPoint or, let's pin it. There was none of that, right? So I would cut out magazines. You may have heard of them. They're these old things made of paper. And I would take them and stick them all over the walls, and I would create these sort of collections in my mind, and I would paint my entire room to match the colors. At the same time, I was a musician, so I would be writing lyrics to songs, and then I would be sketching, faces and so forth. So all this finally came to a head when I got very lucky and already knew someone who was working with Disney for a show Kids Incorporated, and I think they have a new Kids Incorporated now. Her name's Martika. Her real name is Marta Marrero. And this was an opportunity for me to really start doing hair on someone who was, I mean, at the time, she was like Ariana Grande. She was, so big, getting Pepsi commercials. She had a song, I Love You More Than You Know, and Toy Soldiers, which Eminem remade several years back. So I feel like that was my journey, always being, you know, loved and supported into what I wanted to do. It wasn't like you must go to college, you must do well in math. So thank you, Nana. Thank you, family. Always sticking my nose into activities and getting used to working hard and doing the practice no matter what it was, if it was musical or because I was also editor of the newspaper, if it was journalism, any of that I got in and I did the work. um, and then just really letting the journey guide me, and that guided me to a Disney celebrity. And once you have one Disney celebrity, then you can have more, like Britney Spears and Lindsay Lohan. And so sometimes when I think of those three, I'm like lions and tigers and bears, oh my.
For sure.
It-
Well,
I,
like
you know
the spectrum of client, the spectrum of
yeah,
clientele.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
it
So
sounds like it was very much. I've had a mentor in my life tell me like his advice was always say yes to the opportunity, say yes, and you don't know where that might lead you.
absolutely. I mean, I think we can tend to be a culture of no because we're all sort of stuck in our own phones, stuck in our own world, stuck in our own head. So it's very easy to not say yes. Here in LA, a lot of people are like, well, yeah, I said I would go, but it's LA. You have to ask me again, right? So I didn't confirm. And so I couldn't agree with you more. You have to say yes to everything that comes your way, big and small, because somewhere in all that is a little nugget, I promise you.
Mhm. And within that, what we've already talked about, or maybe there's something else, what do you think has been one of the most impactful, if not the most impactful, experiences on your career that really you think maybe changed even the trajectory of where it was headed?
Um, Big time.
Oh.
Uh, I wasn't that old, already working with celebrities. Paparazzi wasn't quite to the phone aspect, right? Like we still had phones that flipped and it was kind of like, oh, the smaller the better. Ew. So, right, they weren't even cameras, most of them, and then iPhone was coming a few years later. Getting weary of celebrity work, and I remember like just doing things with Lindsay. Half of the job was kind of being a barrier to a paparazzi.
Mm.
It was exciting. I was young. It wasn't my favorite thing in the world, though. Opening a salon and realizing that in California, it's a lot of rental, booth rental, which is great, but um, I'm not the best landlord. Like to me, the thought of saying pay your rent, isn't so great for me. So I was looking, and I think it's important to be open and to be looking always. And so I would say the most impactful moment was um, it was about 22, 24 years ago, and it was completely by mistake. I don't know how many of you out there, and I don't know if you, Leslie, have ever um, assisted at a hair show. Have you ever done that? Like,
For makeup though, so I'm a licensed esthetician, so I do,
okay,
but yes, I've been backstage for hair shows and pageants and dances and
right.
all of that stuff.
So
Lots
so
of shows. Yeah,
it's a crazy.
it's a little
Um,
crazy.
it's total crazy. And the first time I offered to do it, I won't say who the artist is because he's huge, but he was doing these bangs on girls where literally there was no bang. It was literally just carved into your face. Girl, you look great. Um, and I was having to like my job was to go get more girls. We need more models.
Hmm.
And it just in my heart of hearts, I just couldn't do it. Models would cry, I would cry with them. She'd be like, I look like a monster. And I'm like, no, you don't. You look like an alien. Not so bad. Um,
Better to laugh than cry.
yeah, you're the future. So anyway, it was awful. But years later, about 22, 24 years ago, I went to assist to do color in Long Beach at ISSE for a company called Alterna. And I was just there to, do my gruntage, rinse the color, learn from the masters and so forth. And then I had done this head of curly hair because I knew curly hair. I'd worked with multicultural hair since beauty school. I saw a challenge. I was like, I'm the white kid and I want to do black hair. I think it'll be awesome. And I was like, yes, I'm learning all this texture. This is amazing. So they were like, curly hair, do it. And so I was doing this curly hair, and then nobody really wanted to take it on stage because they didn't know what to do after. So I was like, I'll do it. So then it was like lights, and they put me in a headset, right? And I was like,
Your preacher
ooh,
moment.
ooh, I like. Yes, it's rock star, right? It's Madonna. I'm a preacher. And so I'm up there and I'm curling the hair and I must just had the most stupid grin on my face, right? Like, ah. Um, and so they said, MSC, what are you doing? And I said it, and the president, CEO of the company, he said, who's that guy? And they said, oh, he's an assistant. He goes, what's he doing on stage? This could have went really bad, right? And they're like, oh, he's just, don't worry, he'll never be here again. And they're like, call him, he said, call him into our offices in Beverly Hills. I'd like to offer him a job. and that job was to be their creative director. So
Wow.
that it was literally like that. I went, even though I had celebrity clients, even though I had, a salon and a career already happening, I still wasn't afraid to do the work. I went to a show expecting to rinse color and ended up Madonna Blonde Ambition tour getting a job offer. Right?
Wow.
It was amazing. I had 5 shows that day and I couldn't stop talking. All my friends wanted me to shut up. But it was very exciting. So I would say that was
Wow.
my most impactful moment in my career.
And what do you think, like from a student perspective, those watching who are still in school, maybe recent graduates, the importance of getting experience behind the chair and with clients, even if you do ultimately aspire to be a platform artist or an educator or a creative director at a brand or something else in the industry, is that experience behind the chair important?
I think it is. I mean, it's a sort of yes and no because I have so many editorial stylist friends who are doing covers of everything and they've never actually been behind the chair. And I have no judgment to them, right? Because they had such a clear vision of what their future looks like, and I respect them. But what I can say to the time behind the chair is that's where you're going to learn your personality skills. That's where you're going to learn how to deal with situations where it's not really about you. It's honestly never about you, and learning how to make it about that individual um, in so many ways, I think is an important step in your life. I would go a step further and I would say, I know many of you are talented and you start out right away with your own chair and your own spot, but I would challenge you to say, are you really ready? Or could you use 3 months, 6 months, a year to really build your skills beyond sanitation and quaternary ammonium compound, right? For us, it was like COVID, what? We know how to mix and kill a virus, right? Like, we got this. Uh, I was like, why are we the last to open?
Right.
We got this. Uh, we're like nurses, right? We come out of school like nurses. So there's a lot of that in your beauty school, and there isn't always, with the exception of a few schools, there isn't always that moment to really learn about the movement of hair and textures and how different textures take different tools and colors and how one philosophy in color does not work on all individuals. So I think it's a really good practice to literally get there and practice. And I would do it under the wing of someone you really respect, and there are great stylists everywhere. And so I would suggest a mentorship personally, and yes, to do the salon time, but no disrespect to Hannah and Billy and so many incredible individuals who are not and probably have never been behind the chair, but are now doing all the coolest editorial work you can imagine.
Well, and you just touched on mentor, and that's
Yeah,
a big thing. And how obviously you recommend a mentor. I mean, it sounds like you've had mentors.
yeah.
How does that relationship start? How does someone go about finding the mentor? It's not like you Google who wants to be my mentor. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, one of the coolest places to find a mentor, and I know it seems odd, and I can just give it as another suggestion because we all know you can just Google your local salons and Google them and Instagram and hit them up with a DM, and that can probably happen very quickly. But I also believe in energy that cannot be captured online. And so I found my mentor, or he found me, again at the ISSE Hair Show in Los Angeles. And his style and my style, we were at some event and we were very interested in chatting. And we were talking, I remember we were talking about Laminates Gel by Sebastian. And he's like, well, do you think it's good it's in a gel form? Why is that useful? It's like, well. Um, and he was quizzing me, and then he hands me this incredible, like, hand painted card. And he said, I'm looking for assistance. If you're interested, I want you to bring 3 models. Each need a cut and color transformation. I'll see you at this time on this day. Any questions?
Wow.
Right. I could have just been like, screw you, I'm not going. But to that guy who was like, I'll do it. I'll be a boy candy striper. Okay. Um, so I did it, and it was a great experience. And again, got to know Martika and work with her and work with all the Disneys. So again, I think we have a theme to this interview, which is say yes.
Yes,
Say yes
absolutely.
to everything that can help you.
And you've touched on the ISSE, which of course is our show, the PBA show. And
Yeah,
within that, and many of the students watching today are interested in Beacon, maybe have applied or going to apply, and the importance of that kind of experience too, and that student experience in the program that we put together live in person to
yeah,
get so many things like what you're talking about because we put the students get to be one in one on with educators and with these names that they're like, oh my gosh, I get to see these people, it's amazing. So
yeah. I think it's incredible what you're doing. I mean, it's something that's newer to the industry. Knowing the kind of kid I was, I certainly would have been there and participating. Molly, who is young and amazing, and I can send you the details to add her Instagram. She was a
mm,
Beacon amazing participant, and now she does product development, in her 20s for we are the most successful prestige hair care brand in the United States. And a lot of it is because of the kind of things she learned through Beacon. So I'm glad for those of you who are watching and listening, and I'm hopeful that more people will become involved, because what you do, everything you do is give them opportunity to learn and to really know what it's like to be out there in the world, because beauty school is that first step. Getting licensed is the next step, and then there's so many things to learn in between. So I thank you guys for helping them to navigate that field.
no, we thank you for being a part of that too. And I realize we're coming close to the end of the interview, and I forgot to mention at the beginning, because I get so excited, that if anyone watching today has questions, you can type them into the Q&A box if you haven't already done that. And then I'll just ask Paige if anything has come in or any other questions before I ask a couple others and wrap it up, because I feel like we could talk for hours. I'm sure that would
Absolutely. And I'm
nothing
so
else
glad
going
you're at
on today.
PBA. Welcome. You've been here now with PBA. When did you join?
Myself,
Yeah.
I've been about 18 months, a year and a half.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I love it,
Welcome.
love it. So
Any questions or?
any questions, Paige? I'm thinking no, if she has not chimed in. So at this point, so what's next for Michael Shaun?
Oh gosh. I think for years, remember, I was doing most of my celebrity work when everybody still had a flip phone. Um, I got into the manufacturing world sort of in this serendipitous way, and ended up working for a brand for many years, and then transitioned to living proof about 6 years ago, and I couldn't be happy. It's a collaborative, cool, silicone free, love notes kind of company, and I'm so glad to be there. But one thing I had always promised myself I would do, and had not really done well at it until I got the shove called COVID-19, right? Was to take my platform more digital, to do more lives, to do more interviews, to do more tutorials. And now that I'm doing them, there's hashtag MSCTV, there's at Michael Shaun Corby on Instagram. Shaun is spelled Shaun. And what I'm finding is there's really this growing community of people who are hungry for the kind of education I give. If you come to one of my shows, which is what I used to do, flying 500,000 miles a year, if you come to one of those shows, I'm not going to tell you I'm the best hairdresser on the planet, but I'm going to tell you you're going to leave there with 5 to 10 things that you can do the next day behind the chair or on the set. I'm going to tell you that you're going to think about things in a very logical and fun way. And I'm going to promise you, you're going to like belly laugh at least 5 times, because if you're
Great.
not having fun, I'm not having fun. It's all
Absolutely.
about me too. So I would say, to answer your question, that I see in this ever-changing world that my new role will become more about living in a virtual digital platform, uh, continuing to engage globally and in person. I just got my first international booking in months. I'm going to Barcelona in
Nice.
September. Yeah, it's really rounding out the career I've already been so blessed to have, to include more digital, because a lot of us say we're going to do more of it, but until this hit and I could no longer leave, and I turned my house into studio set A, set B. I call this that fireside chat. Um,
Like
yeah, I would say that is something I am very interested in doing, and also using my platform to get positive messages into the world.
mhm,
Maybe in the past it's been fun, but now let's get it very fun and positive and forward thinking as we enter into this. I think of it as a new world, with new goals and expectations that we can all be a part of.
absolutely. Well, and that's fantastic because we can all follow along. So we can watch your Instagram TV. That's what I love about it. And for those students that are watching today, check it out. Go to the Instagram, watch the lives. You can come back this afternoon, and Michael will be doing an interview with Nicholas French, the godfather of hair. I mean, his
I
his
know.
his avant-garde styles are amazing. So, I mean, that will be amazing to watch this afternoon on the PBA Instagram Live. So super excited for that. One final question then, what do you love the most about this industry?
Wow, I love so many things. It's like choosing a favorite child. But the thing that always surprises me is we have a reputation with our clients of being a little bit like snobby. And I think it's like our portrayal in movies where it's like, do you have an appointment, or your hair is terrible? And I, I couldn't disagree more. I think hairdressers, I like to call us, we were the freaks and geeks in high schools. We were artistic. We were kind. We weren't necessarily popular. And I see us as the furthest thing from arrogant and snobby, but rather I see us as people who give up to
Mhm.
20 times a day if you have a really full book of clients. We give, we listen, we care, we're very human, and I feel like we are ahead of the curve on everything the world is experiencing now. Like I said, we know sanitation like nobody's business, um, and we have known diversity better than almost any industry. And I'm very proud of I would say the kind hearts of the people that I've had the joy to meet all over the world every single day for the majority of my life, and the people in their comments who still come my way um, on Instagram. So I would say, yeah, it's just my favorite thing about our industry is us, the heart and the kindness of our industry.
Oh, I love that. That's the perfect way to end on a Monday. So thank you so much. I just, again,
You.
just can't thank you enough. Just really appreciate your time today, sharing your story and amazing words of wisdom and advice. And I like that this was all about say yes. say yes to the opportunity, even if you aren't sure of it. Say yes, and you'll figure that out. So once again, Beacon applications are open currently. You can apply at probeauty.org/beacon. Can't wait to see all of the applications coming in and meet all of you who have been watching today. Check out Michael Shaun Corby on Instagram. And if you have time this afternoon, check us out as we do the interview with Nicholas French, because there will be a lot of great information shared there too. So thanks again. We will see you all next week. Michael Shaun, it's been great. I will see you later today. Really appreciate your time. Yes, sounds great. Thanks so much. Different set that time, I have a feeling.
Yes. Have a great day. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
Thanks so much. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.